Hello and welcome to the Center for Distance and Online Education, Tezpur University. My name is Dr. Tinam, Borah, Faculty of Mass Communication and Journalism. This video lecture is part of MMC 104, Reporting and Editing, Module 1, Introduction to Journalism. This lecture covers parts of Unit 1, that is, News. Let me give you an overview of the topics that shall be covered in the lecture. We shall be discussing about news, its meaning and definition, news values, understanding the 5 W's and 1 H, and learn about the different types of news. We shall then summarize the lecture and provide you with probable questions. So news. What is news? News is probably a term that we have been hearing and using all our lives, and in the layman's language we understand news to be simply the accounts or description of important events and incidents taking place around the world every day. But let us now understand the concept of news from a professional perspective, breaking down the various nitty-gritties of news, like why out of so many events only a select few get featured as news in the media, who decides which incidents get reported, and how news is created. Walter William defined news in its broadest sense is that which is of interest to the readers, that is, the public. E.W. Scripps said that when a dog bites a man, that is not news because it happens so often, but if a man bites a dog, that is news. George A. Howe said that news is both a product and a point of view. News, therefore, is a piece of information which is new to the audience. It can be about an incident, an accident, a calamity, an announcement by the government, celebrity, politicians, and so on. It can be a local, regional, state, national, and international event that affects the audience and is of interest to them. The main motive in us while reading news stories is to get information. Therefore, news can also be defined as something which is new, factual, informative, interesting, and important. So as described by George A. Howe, news is both a product and a point of view. So as a product, news is gathered, processed, packaged, and sold by newspapers, news services, news magazines, and other periodicals, as well as the radio, television, and cable stations and networks. Today, news is also distributed on various digital platforms via the internet. But in addition to being a saleable product, news is also a point of view. News is what people need or want to know, whatever interests them, whatever adds to their knowledge or understanding of the world around them. News is also what a reporter or the editor, they feel at any particular moment they consider interesting or exciting or important. Something that the reporter or editor thinks will interest or be useful to readers. So simply put, news is essentially information about recent and noteworthy events that are relevant and significant to us or our society, often involving something new, important, immediate, or unusual happening in our world. So there is no one universally accepted definition of news. That is because of the constantly changing meaning and scope of the term with the passage of time. So it is difficult to define news in one way that would be applicable in all situations because of the different conditions under which news is selected and prepared. So news has a contextual nature that can be affected by the cultural and political, economic, and social aspects. Newsworthiness is a subjective term that changes from one society to the other and one person to the other, and in different media platforms as well. Every day, hundreds and thousands of events are taking place around us, some near us, some in different countries across the world. But each and every event or incident do not make it to the news, right? What is it then that makes an event or an incident worthy of being a news? There must be certain characteristics or qualities that make an information newsworthy. What are these qualities? So the qualities or characteristics of news are referred to as news values. So news values refer to the criteria that determine how much prominence a news story is given by media outlets. News values reflect what events should be considered newsworthy and whether it's worth reporting. So these are ethical values that act as a guide for journalists in determining which stories are worth running. So they shed light on the importance of an event, which provide a detailed comprehension on why some stories become top stories while others are ignored by people. So, timeliness is one of the primary news values. By definition, news is concerning what is going on now. So current events and topics are prioritized as they attract a wider audience in comparison with old news. Time sensitivity means that the content delivered must be up to date and have an immediate effect. The significance of this value is more pronounced in the reporting of live events, since reporters aim at updating the viewers on the most recent information. Nevertheless, one must acknowledge that the concept of timeliness is not uniformly defined in all types of news media. It depends on the publishing cycle of a particular media format. Timeliness for a weekly news magazine refers to events occurring in the last week and deals with news of that period. For a daily newspaper, only events from the last 24 hours are considered timely. In case of electronic or broadcast media, events from a few hours ago are considered newsworthy. So this nuanced understanding of timeliness reflects the adaptability of journalism to the diverse needs and expectations of its audience, while acknowledging that what is timely for one medium may not be for another. The evolution of digital media has further enhanced the concept of timeliness. The age of transmitting data at the speed of light via internet systems and networking portals has resulted in an incredible desire by the society to receive immediate reportages. News outlets, regardless of their traditional publication cycles, are now obliged to engage with their audience in a more immediate and continuous manner. So in a sense, timeliness is not just a temporal consideration, it is a strategic editorial choice that shapes the narrative arc of news reporting. It underscores the dynamic nature of journalism, where the relevance of a story is intrinsically tied to its temporal proximity to the present moment. That brings us to another news value, that is proximity. So the news value of proximity considers the spatial closeness of a particular news event to the target audience. The public is more interested in knowing about events or incidents that are happening locally or within their communities. Audiences are more drawn towards local news because local events impact their immediate life and surroundings, and they are able to relate to these news stories more than incidents happening in the opposite end of the world. That is why all newspapers dedicate some amount of space to local and regional stories. Similar to the news value of timeliness, the idea of proximity may also differ for different media outlets, depending on the range of coverage of their audience or readers. For example, for a city-level newspaper or news channel, events happening within the city will be considered newsworthy. For a regional or state-level newspaper, occurrences within the state or region will be of value to their readers. proximity can be understood in two contexts, geographical and psychological. So geographical proximity is about events, are these are issues that happen near us in our towns or cities. So if a local market catches fire, the story will be covered across all local newspapers and news channels, and people will be talking about it, as many may be directly affected by the incident. But this news won't catch the attention of people in another state or country, especially if there has been no loss of life. So this is different from the news of the destruction of a nationally important monument or landmark, which will be covered by all news channels and newspapers across the country. So psychological proximity, on the other hand, refers to news stories of events that may be happening far away from us, but holding emotional or other relevance to us. For example, if there is a major accident or criminal incident happening in a foreign country, but involves victims from our own community or locality, such news stories would spark our attention. Next, we come to another news value, that is of prominence. So incidents or events surrounding the lives of important and famous people, celebrities like actors, sportspersons, politicians, etc. are worthy of becoming news, as people are always interested in knowing about the lives of these public figures. For example, ordinary people getting married is not newsworthy, but if celebrities such as film actors or sportspersons get married, then it becomes news. Prominent events usually involve high-ranking officials, political leaders, and politics in general, and mostly due to being able to shape society at large. So such news normally make front page headlines when it involves the changing of persons occupying leadership positions, irrespective of the kind of organization, be it political or business. So newsworthiness of events or developments involving major institutions like big corporations, schools, or prominent companies is based on their effect on society. So focusing too much on prominent personalities can occasionally result in privacy violations and unethical journalism practices. So in particular, the paparazzi, the photographers who stalk celebrities, are notorious for their unrelenting chase of celebrities, occasionally even compromising moral principles in their pursuit or of dramatic tales and exclusive images. Princess Diana, the adored former wife of Prince Charles and mother of Prince William and Prince Harry, is a sad example of this intrusive behavior. Throughout her life, Princess Diana was under severe media scrutiny, with reporters following her everywhere. The most infamous event was in Paris on August 31st, 1997, when Princess Diana and her friend Dodi Al-Fayed, they died in a car crash while being chased by the paparazzi. This incident ignited a lot of debates surrounding the ethics in celebrity reporting, as more laws on the subject have to be put in place so as best to safeguard the safety and right to privacy among celebrities. Another major news value is conflict or controversy. So imagine, there's a huge fight between two of your classmates in the college, and a big scene is created, inviting the attention of the college authorities. What do you think will be the most discussed topic amongst your peers for the next couple of days? The said fight, of course. The reason for this is that people are subconsciously attracted by conflicts or controversies. It's the same with news. Conflict or controversy refers to the arguments or issues that people are discussing. It is when two sides or more have opinions, or when people think that something is not right or shouldn't be so. As we can see in our above example, that conflicts and controversies are eye-catching. Every time you switch on the television or open a newspaper or even search for news from the internet, controversial issues will always come through, causing a debate or provoking a lot of talks. So people are naturally curious. It's like watching a soap opera where there is conflict or disagreement. It captivates our curiosity, awakens our thinking of where we stand, and sometimes teaches us about other people's perceptions of the world. Politicians often make news as such when they argue their plans for the country. The stakes are high on the conflict of different political parties or candidates as they affect many people. It becomes a conflict if, for example, one party says taxes should be higher and another says they should be lower, and it becomes news. On some occasions, there are huge discussions about the practices taking place in society. It might be about whether everyone must wear masks during a pandemic, or talk about climate change and protection of environment, or of gender equality. The news makes a debate because it is about conflict of ideas and opinions. So conflicts between famous people are interesting to everyday people. In the event that controversial comments are made or there is a public disagreement, it becomes the main headline news. For instance, an outspoken opinion that a famous actor shares on social media will be included in the news. Another news value that we are going to discuss about is impact. So the word impact means what kind of effects does a story have on people and their environment when it comes to news. It's about determining why certain events should uh, matter to us, and also on the positive impact they are anticipated to present in our day-to-day lives. So imagine you have two stories. While one is about a new flavor of ice cream launch in a local shop, while the other is about a new law which will give everybody a permission to consume ice creams for free. In your opinion, which one is more impressive? The second one, right? That's because the second story is stronger in impact. Say the government passes a new law regarding marriage equality. This news will impact a lot of people who have been waiting for such legal rights. Similarly, a news about a new revolutionary medicine can cure deadly diseases would also be impactful for many people. Again, news about natural disasters like earthquakes or devastating floods would be important because of the life-changing impacts that they could have on people. Such stories are newsworthy because of the power of their impact on society. Then let's discuss about novelty. Another news value is novelty. So novelty refers to newness. When there is something new and rare happening for the first time, it generally becomes interesting for people to know about. So events that people have never seen or heard about, people are by nature attracted to new ideas and new stories that provide a unique twist or exemplify something contrary to normal. This will grab attention. So they make information current and interesting, be it about new inventions, unexpected findings, occurrences or patterns, or breaking records. This appeals to our natural exploration of the world and helps us to understand more about everything there is in the world, giving new and informative aspect of news. So next, you know, for example, when the COVID pandemic had broken out in 2020, people were intrigued by this new virus that had been causing havoc across the country, across the world. Along with the news value of impact, the whole situation of panic and uncertainty was unusual and new for the whole world. However, now with the passage of time, people got used to a new way of living, and news about the pandemic lost its newness or novelty. Another news value that makes stories interesting and newsworthy is human interest. So it refers to stories that reach deeper within our souls, touching our hearts and revealing stories about other people and their experiences which affect us all. It is that kind of news one can make you smile, feel sorry, or even weep. For instance, let us suppose you are, sitting with your family having tea, and someone recollects their childhood experiences. So You want to hear this because there are stories about real people and their feelings. So just as with human interest news, it is all about these personal and emotional factors of life. We all like to, read stories about ordinary people achieving extraordinary feats, or stories about people breaking through various shackles of life and moving mountains, because such stories are inspirational to us. So human interest stories center around ordinary lives of individuals and strange events they encounter. As an example, take the tale of Arunima Sinha, the first female amputee to climb Mount Everest. Her journey from surviving a tragic incident where she lost a leg to achieving such a remarkable feat is not just about climbing a mountain. It's all about the indestructibility of the human soul under duress. So people find the story interesting not only as a tale of physical performance, but also as one of great courage and determination. So the last news value that we're going to discuss about is the news value of currency in journalism. This underscores the necessity for stories to seamlessly integrate with ongoing societal issues and current dialogues. It needs to keep up with the rhythm of social narratives, ensuring that news maintain its dynamism by providing a current and up-to-the-minute source of information. So journalists who are well informed about issues occurring globally, nationally as well as locally, focus on relevant topics for their news stories. The news must be able to reflect on contemporary affairs, whether relating to politics, sociology, culture, or trending issues, as it forms part of the existing discourse. This concern for currency is not limited to timeliness. It represents the flexibility in news reporting required by the evolving mediascape and emergent trends. The instantaneous nature of digital platforms and social media enable journalists to have an immediate connection with audiences. They publish updates about news as it happens and join online discussions while using words and images to make their articles more relevant to different communities. Therefore, currency becomes an important criteria of newsworthiness of journalism. So as a journalist, you must have heard of this term called news sense. So good journalists must have a strong news sense or a strong nose for news. This means that a journalist must have the ability to sniff out news from unlikely sources or hunt out newsworthy things from the ordinary day-to-day events. So this is a quality that one is not born with but cultivates with time and experience. So a very simple and effective strategy or formula is used by journalists in news collection, news writing, as well as news editing. The rule of 5 W's, which stands for what, who, when, where, why, and how. These basic questions are derived from an early model of the mass communication process introduced by Harold Laswell in 1948, who says what to whom, through what channel, and with what effect. These interrogative terms play a pivotal role in guaranteeing precise and thorough reporting. They assist journalists in collecting and conveying news or content with accuracy and effectiveness. So, when we talk about what, that is, what happened. Any news story revolves around what, which is its core. This refers to the core event, incident, or development as reported. It means that journalists should explicitly describe the main aspects of the event to give audience a proper idea about the case. Who is involved or who or is or will be affected. So who focuses on the key people or entities involved in the news story. This encompasses the main actors, the victims, and everyone else related to the event. The narrative is made more realistic through naming the central figures. When talks about When did it happen? So time is a key element in news reporting. When is temporal context of the occurrence, indicating the date, time and duration. The audience needs to understand the relevance of the story and the timeline involved. Where did it take place? The where describes the place where the event or incident took place, where the people affected live. The geographical context tells the audience if it took place in a city, region or a country in which the story was situating the story within a broader framework. Why? Why did it happen? The why questions why the incident occurred or the motivations of the actors involved in the event, or why the issue itself is important. The audience is enabled to understand the reasons for an occurrence, and this gives a deeper insight into the story. And how talks about how did it happen. How explores the underlying mechanism and procedure used in the occurrence, like how the event come to pass, how the issue evolved, or how the audience will become involved. So this enables a more vivid and complete picture of a story, indicating the order of things and how they have happened. Systematically answering these 6 questions helps journalists address all relevant issues in any story. Such an approach assists in guaranteeing that there is a comprehensive news report which addresses the major questions that can be posed by readers, viewers, or listeners. Although not every story talks about every 5W and H, thinking of these aspects in the process of reporting and writing helps the reporter keep such kind of informative approach to the news coverage. So most often, journalists use these elements in some combination to determine whether an event or issue is worth reporting. For example, if the captain of the football team of your college gets a minor injury during practice, the news might at best make it to the college newsletter. But to a local newspaper or regional or national newspaper, this information is of little value, as neither the who involved here nor the what is of much importance or significance to a broader audience. However, if the captain of the Indian national cricket team gets injured, that too a day before an important match like the finals of a major tournament that is being watched by millions of audiences, this news will be significant on a national or possibly even international level. Here, the who, that is an important player whose presence is crucial to the match, the what, an injury that leaves him incapable of playing, and the when, the timing in relation to the crucial match, are all factors that would carry substantial weight, as the impact of this news would have major repercussions. So in a sense, understanding the 5 W's and 1 H in journalism helps in effective news collection as well as comprehensive crafting of news stories. It helps determine the news value and helps reporters and editors in the selection of news. Let us now understand the different types of news. Broadly, there are 2 categories or 2 types of news: hard news and soft news. So hard news refers to the stories characterized by their timely and factual reporting, encompassing the fundamental principles encapsulated by the 5 W's and 1 H, addressing the who, what, where, when, why, and how of an event. Hard news reporting places a strong emphasis on immediacy, objectivity, and the delivery of hard and verifiable facts. Hard news focuses on current or ongoing occurrences. This might include breaking news reports on high-impact events like natural disasters like earthquakes or floods, or important political developments or major accidents or violent crimes. Because of the urgency of these events, journalists must get and distribute information quickly in order to inform the public. It also includes stories on development, government initiatives, court cases, great accomplishments, and sports news. So a fundamental component of hard news reporting is objectivity. Journalists strive to report the facts objectively, free from prejudice and subjective judgments. The intention is to provide the audience an unbiased story of what happened, letting them build their own conclusions from the facts as it is presented. So journalists use the 5 Ws and 1 H framework as a guide to guarantee thorough coverage. It necessitates responses to fundamental questions about who is involved, what transpired, where it happened, when it happened, why it happened, and how it developed. This methodological process aids in crafting an informative narrative. So hard news serves a crucial role as the initial burst of information that meets the audience's immediate need for factual details. So it forms the basis for any in-depth reporting or discussion regarding the consequences, implications, and significance. So indeed, hard news forms the core of journalism by providing citizens with a true and instantaneous perception that is their due. Soft news, in contrast to hard news, adopts a more descriptive, explanatory, and analytical approach. So soft news stories are usually follow-up stories of hard news, giving additional context, deeper analysis, and insights into those events. Human interest stories, which examine social issues and individual experiences, are a popular kind of soft news. So these narratives frequently focus on relevant elements of people's lives and emotions in an effort to establish a personal connection with readers. Another type of soft news is feature stories, which feature specific subjects, trends, or occurrences in popular culture. And in contrast to hard news, feature pieces provide readers a deeper, more in-depth grasp of the topic by offering a more analytical and thorough viewpoint. One important kind of soft news are opinion pieces, which provide the writer's point of view on a certain topic. These subjective stories promote debates on current events and challenge readers to think about other viewpoints. So soft news stories are not always time sensitive, but adds to the audience or reader's outlook of worldly events by providing a more comprehensive account. So here you can see examples of hard news. These are stories that cover the 5 Ws and 1 H of these stories. There are no judgments, there are no opinions, there are no detailed explanations, but these are just facts. These are not subjective in nature. And in examples of soft news, they have deeper analysis, they have deeper discussions, and are slightly subjective in nature. So with this, let us sum up our video lecture for today. So we have learned that news is a multifaceted concept that reflects recent, significant, and often unusual events relevant to society as defined by various journalists and scholars over time. The subjectivity of newsworthiness is shaped by cultural, political, and social context, making it difficult to establish a single universally accepted definition of news. The qualities of characteristics of news are referred to as news values. So news values reflect what events should be considered newsworthy and therefore worth reporting throughout various communication channels. So some of the important news values are timeliness, proximity, prominence, conflict, novelty, impact, human interest, and currency. The rule of 5 Ws and 1 H, which stands for who, what, when, where, why, and how, is a very simple and effective strategy or formula which is used by journalists in news collection, news writing, as well as in news editing. And news can be of two types, hard news and soft news. Hard news focuses on timely factual reporting of significant events such as politics, disasters, and crime, while soft news emphasizes storytelling, human interest, and entertainment, providing context and deeper analysis of societal issues. We are also going to present to you some possible questions, discuss the multifaceted nature of news and how various scholars have attempted to define it, explain the concept of news values and identify at least 5 key news values that influence newsworthiness. Using the 5 W's and 1H formula, outline how journalists can effectively gather and present news stories. Compare and contrast hard news and soft news, providing examples of each type. And evaluate the role of cultural, political, and social context in shaping the subjectivity of newsworthiness. Here are some suggested readings, and with this we come to the end of today's video lecture. And if there are any doubts or any queries, you can reach out to me. With that, I'd like to take your leave. Thank you very much for listening.